All right. Hello again, Avengers, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Legend of the Three Kingdoms. Yes, this is one of my homebrew D&D campaigns set in my weird, messed up homebrew D&D campaign setting, and the people below me are they're really cool people that keep showing up and are probably sick of walking through the spider place. So hopefully that will end fairly soon. Either with a TPK or them getting out to the other side. Who knows? Announcer Ruminants. Something really, really big happened. If anyone was watching this channel last December, I did a Fabula Ultima mini campaign. Most of the people here were a part of it. And it was super cool. I love Fabula Ultima. I think they're really great. I reviewed their most recent supplement book, the Techno Fantasy Atlas. It was great. They announced last Saturday, which was Free RPG Day, that I forgot completely about. They've actually released a Fabula Ultima license, which is basically their version of the OGL that allows people to publish content either for Fabula Ultima or to use Fabula Ultima rules and systems to create their own kind of offshoot RPG, very similar to kind of like Powered by the Apocalypse and similar things like that. They actually have a term that you are not required to use, but you're allowed to use, where if you create a system using Fabula Ultima's rules, you can actually put on the cover page or whatever you want a little thing that says Powered by Fabula Ultima. So that in and of itself is really cool and unique and awesome. And I am a huge believer in the idea that for an RPG to remain healthy and to last more than a year or two, it needs to have a very strong homebrewing community and something that allows that homebrewing community to to exist in a legal capacity. So whether that's Creative Commons style stuff or public domain or some kind of open game license or something like that, I think that is an essential part of any RPG existing for very long. And so, really happy to see Fabula Ultima doing that. Other stuff happening in the tabletop RPG world. Uh, as always,
Warlock just came out in D&D
what
for the
just came out?
2024 Warlock. They've just released the Druid today.
Oh yeah, for D&D for fifth edition, they're continuing to, or 5.5, they're continuing to release more information about that. I have avoided every single one of them.
Yeah, Wizard is up next.
Yeah,
So,
we're about 2 months away from early access, roughly.
yeah,
So, yeah, that's getting big. They did announce a couple months ago, once the Monster Manual comes out in early February, they will be updating the Creative Commons version of the basic rules to include all of the new stuff. So everything in D&D 5.5, or the basics of the rules for D&D 5.5, are going to be Creative Commons, just like D&D 5th edition basic rules are Creative Commons. So that's another thing that's really, really wonderful and amazing. As always, Matt Colville, let Dale Kingsmill name your RPG system, which you've actually gotten some updates on. It looks like they may have preview builds and stuff for backers relatively soon. So that'll be really cool. I cannot wait to get my hands on that system. Anything else? There's like 7,000 different backer kit and Kickstarters for tabletop RPGs right now. I saw one recently on BackerKit that I'm thinking about backing, where they use the Year Zero engine, which powers games like Mutant Year Zero, which is a post-apocalyptic, more rules light RPG that I think is really cool, to create a mechas versus Eldritch Horrors RPG. So think Pacific Rim cross Cthulhu mythos.
Mm.
Or like Evangelion style stuff where you're fighting these creatures that are cosmic
Biblically
horror
accurate.
type things. Yeah, biblically. I love how biblically accurate has turned into just has a shit ton of eyes. Which, if you
Well, shit ton of
read
eyes and shit ton of wings.
yeah, and then wings. If you read the Bible, that's not far off. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
what it was about angels and stuff like that in the Bible, but they all had lots of eyes and just creepy amounts of it. And it is extremely unsettling. Part of me
100
wonders.
eyes, 12 wings, and
Yeah.
And also you couldn't look at them directly.
Yep.
It was actually
Maybe that's why things with too many eyes just weird everybody. Like, I've never met a single person that sees one of these monsters with like a dozen eyes on them and goes, "Oh, that looks great." They're always like, something about that's wrong. So yeah, cool stuff coming out there. I'm just a big fan of mech RPGs in general. Like, BattleTech is okay, but it's too crunchy for me. There's another one called Lancer, which I really love and I think is super cool. There's a rules light game called Mecha versus Kaiju that I own that I really, really love. You can build a character in like 5 minutes, and it's not designed for like 7-year-long campaigns. But yeah, you can make mecha, or you can be a kaiju, and you can fight mecha or kaiju together, or like it's exactly the kind of stuff that I enjoy. So yeah. Anyone that says that, the world of tabletop RPGs is going downhill is not keeping their eyes open. We live in a tabletop RPG renaissance. It's so cool.
You have people going to live events and selling out the goddamn venues.
Also, I didn't realize the Greek theater was an outdoor venue.
Oh yeah, I have to be reminded of that. I keep forgetting until I actually see it. Like, oh, that is.
So yeah, if anyone didn't know, was it last week or the week before that the live show happened?
Because of the time difference when they were actually live, and then the YouTube is uploaded now. It's been out for.
Anyway, Critical Role did a live show at the Greek Theater in and it apparently went very, very well. I know at least one person that went that said it was a blast.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool stuff happening.
There's a handful of that. So they did then there's Wembley Stadium. They've done. I know High Rollers is going to be doing it. Dropout is going to be doing live events. They've done live events before too, but now they're going to like a big venue thing, just like everybody else. I'm like, holy shit.
Also, what are they called? The Dagger Heart playthrough that the Critical Role people have been doing. They've done 2 episodes already. I haven't watched the second one yet, but I heard it was good. And they've leveled up their characters, I think, for a 3rd one. So that in and of itself is really cool. Daggerheart itself is on its like 4th version of the playtest. And I can neither confirm nor deny that there may be some people interested in doing a live stream Daggerheart thing with me. So that might be cool. Or it might turn into nothing because the people that I can neither confirm nor deny that I'm talking to are not known for their scheduling capabilities. Yeah. Anything else weird or wonderful happening in the tabletop RPG world? Fulminator is a website that I use to create my Fabula Ultima stuff. They've just announced that they're adding a character builder to it. And you can sign up for alpha on the Fulminator website to try a Fabula Ultima character builder. So that's kind of cool. The character sheets in Roll20 is what we used for our Fabula Ultima stuff, and they're not bad, don't get me wrong, but they're not super great character sheets, which is kind of true of a lot of Roll20 character sheets. Like, they don't make bad character sheets. there's just a lot of them are just not the greatest. The only one that I've been completely blown away with, the Open Legend character sheets on Roll20 are fantastic. Took me a little bit of time to learn them, but they're super simple to do whatever you want in Open Legend. So, yeah. I also, at this point, I think I've just decided that I'm going to be doing a Metroid-themed campaign this December. Like, the more I think about it, the more I just badly want to do it. So, starting making my plans. It's looking like Stars Without Number might be the system that I'm sold on right now. Which I didn't realize apparently was part of the old school revival movement, which doesn't make sense to me at all because there's no tables to roll on. Or no, fuck, there is tables to roll on. That's where they came from. If anyone doesn't understand, the old school revival group is a bunch of people that think that basic D&D was the best version of D&D, and so they try to make a bunch of games like that. And in original D&D, when you rolled to attack, you didn't roll your die, add a number, and then compare it to a total. You rolled on a table. And depending on your level and the level of the creature you were fighting, you had to find the specific value you had to roll on your d20 in order to hit that creature. And it was a pain in the ass. THAC0, as much as people say THAC0 was this horrible thing, it was so revolutionary for tabletop RPGs because it was no longer rolling on a table. You had a set number that you had to beat. And there were pluses and minuses you added to it instead of trying to find the right table to roll on. And each class had a different table that they had to roll on. So, like, thieves had a much more difficult time attacking than, like, fighters did. THAC0's not bad. It's not as good as the modern AC system, but it's not a bad system, and it takes very little time to learn it. Anyway.
I remember having a flip chart, dude. I'm like, I'm not going back to that.
So yeah, cool stuff happening all around. Trying to think if there's anything else good going on. Not really. I think that means that it's time to return to the legend of the Three Kingdoms. Every time I say that, I always think I'm going to go, now it's time for the legend of the Hidden Temple. I am Olmec, who is voiced by D. Bradley Baker, if I remember correctly.
Oh.
Yeah. Appa was originally Olmec. I may be 100% wrong on that, but it sounds right to me. So it's weird because D. Bradley Baker is well known for his like animal voicing. And so not a lot of people think about him actually voicing humanoid characters. Anyway, let's return to Legend of the Three Kingdoms. Blah, blah. The party is almost through the Webwood. As they have dealt with illusions and strange occurrences, they have now come to the final leg of their journey. But despite the fact that they can almost see the light at the end of this tunnel, the most dangerous parts of the forest may be before them. So, remind me, because my brain is completely shot right now. The most recent time we played, what problem were you guys dealing with?
You've done the road that kept teleporting us.
Oh yeah, the looping trap. Okay, now I remember. So, as I said before, you're basically 3/4 of the way through, and there is one final area. So this time, I think I'm going to have Argenta choose even or odd.
Even.
Okay.
Challenge is a cooking competition.
All right. Go ahead and pick a number or roll a number 1 through 8. And if you pick the wrong one, you'll have to re-roll or repick.
4.
4. Try again. We've already done that one.
It's blue died. 1.
1. Okay. So, as you all are continuing to the forest, you start to notice the forest itself seems to be getting thicker and it's getting harder to see. And you start to realize that it's not that the forest itself, like the trees or the underbrush, is getting thicker. The webs that are hanging from the trees are becoming more and more numerous. And eventually, the forest floor ahead of you is covered in thick, sticky webs to the point you can't see any of the floor beneath it. And as you kind of look around, you see that any path in the direction that you need to go seems to be just completely enveloped in webs. What would you all like to do?
Sorry, just clarification. So can we tell where the road ends and the ground begins? But is it just covered with web so much we can't differentiate?
It is solid web. You don't see a road or anything. You can infer where the road is supposed to be, just based on like where trees are, because there aren't any trees in the middle of the road.
Okay.
But as far as anything on the ground, it is 100% webs.
Like where it's like when there's like a heavy snowfall, you know where it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What would you all like to do?
Is it very sudden when that happens, or is it like a gradual thing, or is it like?
So basically, as you guys have been going again, you started noticing it just felt like the forest was getting thicker, which is not an uncommon thing to happen. You know, trees will grow in patches and things like that. So every so often the road will narrow. But you guys started noticing like the trees themselves were not getting more numerous, but for whatever reason it was getting harder and harder. Like the path itself was getting thinner and thinner as you tried to avoid like branches hanging down and stuff. And so you eventually realize it's not that the trees are getting thicker, it's the fact that there's just more webs hanging down and creating obstacles that you have to kind of go around until eventually you get to this point. So probably over the past like 10 minutes ish, which is still a relatively sudden change, but it's not like
our feet aren't like stick to the ground or anything.
The ground, yeah, the ground itself where you guys are right now has some web coverings on it, but it's just in front of you where it's completely covered. So some of you have probably stepped on webs along the way and either have some of them built up on your shoes or have had to basically kind of scrape them off on stones or trees near the side of the road.
I think Rowan's gonna like refer to the survival people.
Everyone looks at Vala.
I have an idea.
We are surrounded by flammable material. And I'm pretty sure only one of us is fire resistant.
And you guys would all be aware, webs themselves burn very, very quickly.
For once, my suggestion was not going to be lighting everything on fire. Vala slowly puts down the regions she needed to cast Flame Blade.
Oh, I wasn't going to burn everything. Then why is there a fireball in your hand? 'Cause it's bright. That's my light spell. It's a very fiery light.
Fireball is just like Vala's idle process.
Sorry, yeah.
I could polymorph into a giant spider to more easily navigate the webs. But it helps me and probably one person that could ride on me.
I can imagine when the last time when Relwyn was in the caravan, maybe he just didn't see it, because he was in the caravan and it was an enclosed one, so maybe he. Like I think Rowan definitely would ponder that. Like, how did the
Yeah.
caravan go through this?
Mm-hmm. So it's possible. It's possible that this is just a recent occurrence that your last caravan didn't have to deal with, or again, they intentionally made it so that the passengers would have no idea what was going on outside the caravan. So they might have had a way to deal with this. If you want to, you could use investigation or insight. If you want to try and kind of postulate how you would have gotten through here, if this was here, how they would have gotten through it.
I'll use insight.
Okay.
Insight. Ooh, 25.
25. Okay. So thinking back to your previous foray through these woods, you do remember a specific time where the wagon stopped, and as you were trying to figure out what was going on, you started getting up, and as soon as you got to kind of the tent flap and started kind of opening it up, immediately the flap itself was kind of slapped. They said, "Just sit down. We'll be out of here in a second." And you could hear the sound of metal scraping on wood. And the wagon that you were in tilted pretty pronounced 4 times. And then you heard the kind of familiar kind of whip crack, the yeah, and then the wagon itself started going much faster than it was before, to the point where you really had no choice. You had to sit down and kind of grip the bench that you were sitting on, or else you would be kind of tossed around a little bit. So you think, and it was somewhat towards the beginning of the traversal through the webwood. So you think whatever solution that they came up with to come through this part possibly happened right then, and it involved, again, something involving metal scraping on wood and speed.
And the fact that it was like very well. No, sorry. Was it like? I'm sorry. Was it front back severe angle, or was it like side severe angle?
Basically 4 corners, because it happened 4 times. So
Oh, okay.
each time is a different corner.
Like lowrider, just
Yep.
okay. Well, Roland will recount that. It's like maybe that was related.
But it happened early on.
As we were just starting to go into.
All right.
Which
Well,
again, you were
again,
coming from.
Yeah.
Opposite direction.
Yeah.
Mm.
And you would remember at the end, a very similar thing happened, basically in the opposite direction, the opposite order, where after you got through whatever this area was, again, sound of metal scraping wood, and the wagon shook a little bit, and then everything went back to normal. You went to the normal pace and everything.
And then maybe attaching something to the wheels?
We never stopped.
You did stop. Remember, I
No, I
started
mean,
with...
no. I mean, once that happened.
Oh, yeah. You put it on, you went through, and then at the other end of this, you stopped again, and the same process happened. So you stopped before, you stopped afterwards.
Yeah, maybe it had either flower, something like that.
Web shoes?
Rub tires.
Michelin, there was a restaurant nearby.
They used some type of metallic coating like chrome to more easily surf on these. I'm much more of a Firefox girl.
Ooh.
I'll see myself.
That hurt.
You don't want to go on a safari?
I don't know. I
Edge.
think that's the edge of this. Of course, you can't come up with a pun for Internet Explorer because it's dead. Anyone remember Netscape Navigator?
Oh,
I
it
thought-
will be in a minute.
I thought it was on the edge of life.
Ooh.
Oh,
So, what do you guys want to do with that information? If you want to try to see if you can recognize any repercussions of a traversal method like that.
Sure, I'll see if I can see if there's any I assume it would leave, if you know what you're looking for, a rather obvious trail, so I'm gonna look for that if I can.
Sure.
yeah, I'll help you.
Okay.
Alright.
Whichever
So-
one of you wants to roll it, you can roll with advantage because you're getting help, and we'll make this a perception or investigation, whichever you like better.
For further inquiry about what Rowan recalls, was it like? I have to imagine, like, did it sound different? Was it like a very like we went from ground, and was it like a very muffled? Or was it like a lot of scraping along the sides, or like the covering of the wagon?
You don't remember the covering of the wagon, like you don't remember the chain chapping too much. You know the ride itself was significantly rougher. Like again, you were forced to basically hold on to your seat, or you would be kind of shaken out of it. And because of that, you weren't really able to focus on what was happening to the
Okay.
covered wagon that you were in. But you don't remember like additional scraping sounds or anything on the canvas itself.
Okay.
So with
Ever-
this
Ever
being my
written on a ever written on a buckboard with no padding? It's
It's
yes.
with this
unpleasant.
being my favorite terrain, and with the help, 26.
26. Not enough. Yeah, looking around, you notice something kind of unique. It forces you actually to go back probably about 1,000, 1,500 feet, kind of just kind of searching around the ground itself. And you realize that even like the footprints that you guys leave, when you're walking, kind of similar to what happens with a Pass Without a Trace spell, where the footprints just kind of vanish much more quickly than you think they should. You're not seeing any indication of wagon wheels. Any kind of path like this where you don't have like pavement or some kind of stone walkway is going to have ruts where wagon wheels go fairly regularly. Even on the compacted earth path that you're going on, you would still see marks, and there's nothing. It's very, very smooth. And then the closer that you get, you start to realize that underneath the webbing itself, you think that there's probably you think that the web itself is covering up basically uneven ground and pretty significant damage when you start looking at the very edge, and you're actually seeing marks and stuff like that from wagons and stuff like that. Does that make sense at all? I think I'm explaining extremely poorly.
Not exactly sure.
Okay, so you see no indication of sled tracks, of gouges from like, lack of a better term, from like snow tire stuff. Anyone that doesn't live in a frozen climate, snow tires or chains would be more likely.
Yeah.
People will actually put chains on their tires so that it gives them more grip and actually digs into the compacted snow and ice on the thing. It also destroys roads. So you don't see anything that would indicate even just normal wagons going through. But as you get closer to the completely webbed over area, you start noticing deformations and damage to the road that seems to be getting covered up very quickly by the webs themselves, to the point where it almost looks like the webs are being used to cover up damage on the road. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever they're using is damaging the road. I will basically uh pull out my frost dagger and
Mhm.
hoping that the cold makes the webs brittle enough for it to cut through.
Mhm.
I'll start to like clear just a small section of that out
Okay.
so we can see it better.
Go ahead and make me an attack roll.
Uh,
And
17.
okay, and this is just not an attack roll to see if you hit. You can hit the ground. It's just to
Okay.
see how long it takes for you to do this. So it's a 17. As you start kind of hacking away with your frozen dagger, one of the things that you notice is, again, you kind of expect the webs as they get colder. Most things, when they get colder, they start to become a little bit more brittle, a little more inflexible. The webs themselves, as you strike them with the very, very cold dagger, instead of getting brittle and hard, they react to the cold by turning into an almost like really cold molasses like consistency, where they go from the kind of sticky strands that they are to this kind of amorphous, hyper sticky goop. And as you keep trying to clear away some of it, you actually end up coming back with your dagger almost completely encased in this web slurry. And for probably about 5 minutes, you are able to clear enough away to be able to see the ground beneath it, which looks rough. Not like massively damaged, but the kind of road that would not be pleasant to ride over.
Gotcha.
But after that 5 minutes, the webs themselves, in their more oozy consistency, have kind of slowly oozed in and filled all the cracks, and now it is again entirely webs.
Hmm.
And again,
These
currently
webs.
your dagger is now just encased in webbing.
She kind of goes over to Vala.
Paula uses one of her fire spells. One of her many fire spells.
Okay.
What is it? I have produced flame.
It's a
If
nice
you have
spell.
prestidigitation, it could just warm it up.
Yeah.
I'll use prestidigitation.
Okay. For whatever reason, prestidigitation doesn't seem to work the way you think it should. And instead of warming it, it now has a very strong scent of boiling turnips.
Hmm. I will be confused.
Argento will just see if her hand axe can like either get it off or transfer it over. Because I'd rather have it on my hand axe than my dagger.
Yeah, as you try to scrape it off with your hand axe, your hand axe kind of gets coated too, and then you start noticing there's not enough surface area on the dagger to be able to cover the entirety of the blade of your hand axe. But as you scrape it off and just keep scraping, now both your hand axe and the dagger have this strange goop on it.
Okay.
Like you have a cat's cradle going on.
Yeah.
He kind of looks at that.
Is it like the web is multiplying, or
I'd like to roll to disbelieve. No.
I don't believe it's web, so therefore, after if you're willing to wait for about 10-15 minutes, as long as you keep the dagger away from the axe away from the dagger, eventually the webs on the axe do turn to the kind of more familiar fibrous webbing that you're used to seeing. And despite the fact that it's very, very thick, with enough time and effort, you can clean it off of your hand axe.
Uh-huh. I mean, we can try and brute force this if you like, but it may not go the way we like.
Well, I think in the case of them, brute forcing is because they have wagons, which we don't really have, so I'm not sure.
Well,
Yeah.
can Vala turn me into something that's as big as a wagon?
I mean, giant spider. It's in the name.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but something you can all ride is what I'm asking.
I don't know that I can create something that we can all ride on.
I mean, I would argue we can ride a T-Rex. That's Joshua, though. That's not. Rowan's not. Rowan's just like, I don't want to fucking ride T-Rex.
I
Joshua does.
mean,
What was that Dino toy series? Like you had like. There was a toy series where you like had like weaponry and shit. You like put it on dinosaurs.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what was that name? It wasn't Dinosaurs, was it?
No, it was not dinosaurs. It was a toy line.
No, there was because in the '80s, cartoons were there exclusively
know.
to sell toys. There was a cartoon series called Dinosaurs, and they did get
I know.
stuff. But no, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I can't remember what it's called either. They were very cool, though. They're like T-Rexes with rocket launchers on them. I'm assuming it's what inspired Ark.
Oh, just straight up Dino Riders.
Dino Riders, there we go. I'm assuming it's what inspired Ark, because in Ark, you can also mount rocket launchers and things on dinosaurs. And they have a mod you can buy that lets you turn certain dinosaurs into Zords from Power Rangers.
well, I mean, polymorph is a concentration spell. Yeah. So, and I can't cast that on multiple people. So, I mean, a T-Rex is huge and has a strength of 27.
Mhm.
So, I feel like three of us could ride on it.
A huge
I'm
creature.
sorry. Are there webs over us?
Yes, there's a canopy over you.
Yeah.
About-
So I am concerned
Yeah.
about a giant T-Rex getting caught up.
I mean, it's worth it. I'm willing to give it a try.
And you guys
How-
would know from the last time you were here, the canopy goes high enough that there are creatures that actually live in the canopy, because you guys had an entire combat in the canopy
Yeah.
last time you were here.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, I have.
How tall up is the canopy?
where you guys are right now, it's maybe 10 feet above you,
Okay, yeah,
between
the
8 to
T-Rex.
10 feet ish.
The T-Rex would hit that.
I mean, I've got I can do 5 polymorphs. So
Well, no, because to brute force it, you would tend to ride on me.
no, I'm just saying, like, if we try this and it fails, it's not my last
That's fair.
effort.
Have you ever seen one of those really big crocodiles?
Croco, what now?
Never mind. You don't like water. That's right.
I mean, it's not that I don't like water. I respect water. Also, water tried killing us before.
It also,
Literally. I have
Not-
reason
not
to
to-
distrust.
not to meta too much, but since I do know that Bella has polymorphed before, like my concern is if we try brooding our way through it like we were a caravan, your polymorph only lasts like an hour, so I am concerned we'll have brute force our way and not be able to get out the other half if we can't get out in time. Also, I'm pretty sure we'll be very dumb as dinosaurs.
Well, one of us
Yeah,
will,
one of us.
will have the intellectual capacity
One of us,
of a
one
dinosaur.
of us. Goober Gable, Goober Gable.
But only one of us can ride it.
It depends on what kind of raptor you're talking about. If you're talking about real raptors, none of you could ride it. They're like chickens. This is my war chicken.
So
I now want to create a society of like fairies that ride into battle on boar chickens.
yes. Um,
Maybe make a Bizzle chicken. Just saying.
pixie druid, giant bear with pixie wings.
That's a Huffalump.
I have a lumposal is very confusing.
So, all right. So two possibilities: polymorph into a T-Rex, try to brute force our way through; polymorph into a giant spider and try to guide through, with at least one person riding on its back.
Well, the brute force is a little more complex than that, but that's my end. But the only problem is, I think a T-Rex would poke into the canopy.
Rowan is definitely curious about the reaction the web has been having, since this is not behaving like normal web at
Yeah.
all.
Mm-hmm.
Cold turns it into molasses. Fire gives a turnip-like smell.
Well, you guys didn't use
Um,
fire. You
Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
it.
he warmed it. He warmed it.
What Argento will do is, I'm fairly certain it's not going to be too hard to get like a piece of tinder or something that'll light really easy, right?
Yeah, you guys have.
Yeah.
If you have an adventurers pack, you have torches and
Yeah.
flint and tinder. So
I just don't want to like light a full-on torch. I just want to test how it reacts. So I'll get like a bunch of dry grass,
okay.
light it, and then see how some web reacts to the heat.
Where do you want to use it on the web on your dagger? Do you want?
Yeah,
to...
I'll do that.
Okay. So yeah, as you touch the web, as the fire physically touches the molasses webs, you watch as it very quickly goes from that goop to the fibrous weather that you're web that you're used to, and then almost akin to if you've ever seen flash paper ignite. It's just, and unfortunately, because of just how much web there was on it, you do take 1 point of fire damage as it just very, very rapidly consumes the entirety of your the dagger blade and just kind of singes your hand.
All right, but the dagger, I'm assuming, is fine because magic.
Yeah, dagger's perfectly fine.
All right.
Follow spent
You
the
still
next
have 10
30
points,
seconds
right?
just imagining
Oh,
what
yeah,
would
no,
happen
it
if
came
she
off
lit
my
a
turn.
bonfire here.
Maybe there will be one off.
You guys just see a mush. The rest of Cruciatalia learns what a mushroom cloud looks like. Vala has
Whispers.
created.
I love the
nuclear
smell of
winter.
bat guano in the morning. Smells like experience points.
I am become death.
So,
Destroyer of woods.
one option. One option. I'm just gonna put this out here. Two of you climb into my bag of holding. I light a torch, toss it, and the moment I toss it, I pull the other person into the plane of shadow. And then in about 30 seconds, we'll see the aftermath. No, we're not doing that.
So to say, bag of holding, while being a magic item, can be ruptured. And then everything inside, trying to remember
Comes
if it
out.
spills out to the primary plane or if it spills out to.
Well,
That's why we'd all be in the plane of
if
shadow.
it's ruptured, the contents just spill out. If you destroy it by doing something catastrophic like pocket space in a pocket space, then you get into the astral plane bullshit.
You guys get to find out what an astral dreadnought looks like.
For
Fun
once, Vala does not want to fuck around and find out.
Fun fact, the Kako demon from Doom, everyone assumes that it's Doom's version of Beholder. What it actually is they took the artwork of an astral dreadnought and just chopped off part of it. So Kako demon is actually an astral dreadnought. Or part of an astral dreadnought. The most difficult thing about crossing the redwood has been staying on task.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm just gonna turn into a giant spider and scout around
Okay.
and try to see like, are there like, does this web feel natural?
Sure.
Is it under some kind of arcane thing? Are there other spiders or other things living in the web?
Okay.
So
So go ahead and cast a spell on yourself. The instinct of the creature that you become, because are you using, what version of polymorph are you using? Just regular polymorph,
just regular
not like
vanilla,
true polymorph or anything.
not true
Okay.
polymorph. No, just regular fourth level polymorph.
Yeah. So the instincts of the creature that you turn into are still there in the back of your brain. And as you turn into the giant spider, you guys watch as Vala starts growing additional eyes and their mouth starts to change, and suddenly a bunch of extra limbs spring out, and eventually Vala in spider form is there. And
And
as
the
soon
cover
as
gets put on an Animorphs book.
yes, as soon as you turn towards the floor, you get this instinctual revulsion of the floor of the cavern. And one of the things with spiders, the reason they're able to climb on their own webs is not all strands of web are sticky. And so spiders instinctively know which ones they can walk on and which ones they can't. They can still get caught in their own web, they just don't, because they know where they can and can't walk. And your spider brain is telling you, you do not touch the ground. In any way, shape, or form, don't touch the ground. Ground is bad. Ground is lava.
Okay.
The trees, however, are much more similar to what you would have seen. Basically, almost everything hanging down from a branch is sticky, and you don't want to touch it. But where they're connected to branches, there's a bunch of the non-sticky lines that you could, with enough effort, probably climb on and go through this. It would require going into the canopy, which has its own set of dangers, but you think that is very possible. But for whatever reason, your spider brain is saying, do not touch. It's not even saying that, oh, that's the sticky part. Your spider brain does not want you touching the floor at all.
Okay. I will. Do I get a sense of there being like things in the? If I climb up one of the trees and like touch the webbing, do I get an idea of there being a lot of activity on the web?
Make me a perception check.
I need to use the giant spider's wisdom. What am I giant? There it is.
I thought regular polymorph, you got their physical, but you kept your intellectual.
That's
I
why
might be wrong about that.
That's wild.
That's wild shape?
It's wild
Okay,
shape.
I'm wrong.
All right. So yeah, I think it's perception. I think I just get a 0 instead of my plus 13.
Damn bards.
Or would I add proficiency to it or no?
Normally on the stat block it would say if you're proficient or not. I'm going to say, since this is something that this spider would be well versed in, sure. Go ahead and add your proficiency bonus to it.
Okay. So 13.
13. So yeah, looking around, go ahead.
Sorry, I will also throw out. It does say, it does have web sense as one of its skills. So
Okay. So the way that the web is supposed to work is the non-sticky ones, whenever anything touches a sticky web, it sends vibrations to the non-sticky ones, and as long as a spider has something touching it, they not only can sense the vibration, but they generally are pretty good at knowing where the vibration is coming from. These sticky webs, first of all, you notice that the sticky webs on the floor are not attached to non-sticky webs, so they can't give off the vibration. The sticky webs that are hanging down in this area don't seem to give off vibrations as well. In fact, they're thick enough and the consistency is different enough that you think they suppress vibrations. So they're not useful for what sticky webs are designed to do, which is to trap prey and let them know. As you kind of look around, there are no spiders that you can detect in the vicinity. You don't see any kind of telltale signs of spiders other than obviously the webs. But these webs don't seem to be made by spiders.
Okay.
They're not useful.
They're on private servers.
Now, that's basically just dealing with the stuff down here. If you want to go all the way up the canopy area where other people live, doesn't start for about 20 feet. So if you want to go all the way up there, you can look around as well. But
I just want to get kind of the most bang for the buck out of this before I have to
sure.
unpolymorph.
So did you want to go all the way up to 20 foot? Okay.
I'm going to go all the way up.
Make me another perception check then.
Okay. 9.
9. As you get up there, it's really weird up there. There is... It's basically like going to a second floor of a building. Like there are open areas that you can walk around and things like that. Like it's really, really weird. And as far as you can tell, you don't see anything immediately, but it's such a stark difference from where you just were that your little spider brain is having a really hard time figuring it out. So as far as in the immediate area, like within 30 feet, 60 feet, you don't see anything.
Okay.
Anything further than that, you got no clue.
All right, then. I will climb down to the others and then unpolymorph. And and I'll point to the webbing on the floor and the dangly bits. Those aren't spider webs, not typical spider webbing. It doesn't serve a purpose. Like, it's not for traveling on. It's not for capturing prey for you to eat. My spider brain did not want... It was just telling me to stay away from it. So I don't even think as a giant spider I could travel on that. I think the safest way would be to go from tree to tree through the canopy, but that has its own dangers. I couldn't sense any other spiders in the area. This is all very, very weird.
What's its purpose?
I don't know. Are we sure this is webbing and not like cordyceps fungus?
If anyone wants to make a nature check, you can see.
Sure.
You'll have to get close enough to actually either take a sample of the webbing or you have to get close enough to actually look at it.
Yeah, I'll take a sample.
Okay.
I will.
That's actually really good. Again, favored terrain, so that's a 31.
Yeah. Looking at what specifically are you using to get a sample?
I will use just the hand axe because it's
Yep.
not my main weapon. So
Sure. So you get it on the hand axe and examining it. It takes you, even with the 31, it takes you a little bit of time to examine it, like easily a good 20 minutes. Because every time you start understanding something about it, you'll see another aspect of it going, wait a minute, that's not how this is supposed to work. And after about 20 minutes of examining it and kind of poking and prodding it and stuff like that, you start to realize that this has a lot more in common with a sporous fungus than it does with webs. And what it looks like is when the spores kind of settle down, they connect to each other in a fibrous membrane that looks nearly identical to webs. But when they are in a kind of reproductive phase, they absorb the moisture in the air around them and turn into that kind of paste that you saw before. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a fungus.
Vala immediately starts backing up and like taking a handkerchief or something and like putting it around her face.
Specifically,
again. Not again.
specifically, these are. It looks like these are spores.
So what
Yeah,
do you want to do?
All right, so we have funguses here, and we've got spider webbing above us. We can either try to brute force our way through the fungus, which I don't know that that's the right approach, or try moving through the canopies. I could cast fly on a number of us, so we can just, move from tree to tree. Try to keep a low profile.
How long does the fly last?
10 minutes.
You think that all of us?
Well, cast at 4th level or higher, you can target one additional creature for every spell slot above 3rd. I do have a 6th level spell slot, so I can let all 4 of us fly for 10 minutes.
I mean, do you really need
I really
all of
don't really know how long we'll need it for, but
I mean, it gets us 10 minutes through this. And then we can see how we are. I could also poly myself into a giant ape or the giant spider and travel through the canopy with a rope and have people follow. Or we could try hacking our way through, or
fire?
I mean, mushroom cloud.
Quite literally.
yeah.
Oh God! So when our characters reincarnate,
I think it'd be real
Okay.
interesting if you guys are all playing characters from Crucitalia instead of just Relwyn.
I mean, does anybody have an objection to trying fly for 10 minutes?
Do you guys see
Could I?
them? Go ahead.
Could I create a 2nd level spell called Speak with Fungus? Because we have Speak with Plants and Speak with Animals.
I mean,
I mean, I would argue spores falls under plants.
yeah, I mean,
Well, no,
technically they're not plants. But
Fungi
I would
are
say,
the 3rd form of life.
yeah, I mean, it technically is a different kingdom. You have animal, plants, fungus. I would say there's enough similar between plants and fungus that Speak with Plants would work on fungus.
Well, do you know what the outside of a fungi is made out of? Chitin, the same thing as insects.
Really?
Yeah.
That's nonsense. Anyway, just using D&D rules, I'm going to say if you want to expend a spell slot to cast Speak with Plants, I will let you speak to a fungus. It'll be weird. You know, it'll basically be like they'll have a weird
All right,
accent that you're not expecting, but
I will
Do
connect
it. I
to
want
the
Jody's.
my
I want Jody's fungus voice. Do it. Do
I
it.
will
Do it.
connect to the mycelium and I will extend a third level spell slot and cast Speak with Plants.
okay.
I will
That's-
see how big this is. She is preparing for her mind to be blown.
Can we travel along the mycelium network?
So,
Dave's not here, man.
oh yeah, man. Dave's not here. So as you sit there and you start kind of connecting with this fungus, the first thing that you realize is fungus in general can be very, very small or can be massive. There are some lichen that cover hundreds, if not thousands, of square miles. This one seems to the being that you're talking to seems to only exist over probably a few thousand square feet. And as you kind of focus on it, you suddenly hear this voice in your head going, "Oh, hey."
Hey there. We were hoping if you could let us pass through.
"Oh, sorry. No can do. See, I need to eat, and you guys are tasty, so I'm just going to gobble you all up, if that's okay."
Are you sure you can't, like, just move your spores and I could leave you some rations?
"Oh, no can do. See, the thing that I like about eating things like you is you have this, like, soft squidgy bit in the hard parts on the top. It's really tasty, and it just doesn't exist in those little, like, bits of non-me that you guys seem to like to put in yourselves. So, sorry. It's nothing personal."
Yes, well, I'd rather not be eaten, and I'm going to be very blunt. Two of us are very proficient with fire, and you're very flammable.
"Oh, no. It's really bad.
No.
Last person that decided to use fire on me, well, let's just say it didn't end very well for him. But see, I can actually just kind of protect myself. It'll take a long time for me to get back to this size, but I'll be fine, and you'll be dead."
She looks back at you. This is why I don't like speaking to fungi, guys.
Seriously, it's better for everyone else involved. Just kind of walk in. It's very peaceful for me. According to the people that I've eaten, it's apparently not as peaceful for you. But it'll be over relatively quickly. Like 6 or 7 weeks.
I look back at them. We're going to need to fly.
Strange question. Is there anything that doesn't like it hates the taste of?
What do you hate? I just say down towards the fungus.
Make me a persuasion check.
Or 26.
So just flat out asking what do you hate gets you nowhere. However, you get a little bit more creative. You start to build some rapport with the fungus. You start, finding out that this is actually a third generation webwood fungus, and its great grandfather actually used to inhabit the Forgotten Mountains, and eventually just slowly made itself. They found out that the webwood was just a lot better. The only issue they have with the webwood is all these big, tall things that live both above and below the ground suck. They're bitter. They like the flavor itself is absolutely repulsive. And so However, they found that a lot of the things that do taste really good seem to really like whatever these big things that, grow up and down into the ground. They flock to them all the time. It's nuts. So it's kind of a necessary evil. They have to be around this just absolutely revolting, disgusting stuff.
They don't like trees, is what I'm assuming.
Seems about right.
Can you turn us into moving trees?
So my friend, who was a druid, could awaken a tree. Then we could just ride Treebeard out of here. However, all right.
I was thinking
cast.
that, like, if there was some way for us to make a type of repellent from tree sap.
We just start pouring maple syrup on it.
Unfortunately, it'll make us tasty to some other creatures, bro.
Goes, hey, wrong people with funny accents.
All right. I use a 6th level spell slot and cast Fly on the formless.
Okay.
Just think happy thoughts.
You can
was
fly,
bored of
you
Chris,
can
tell ya.
fly, you can fly, you can fly.
Think about a really good meal.
Think,
A happy thought was living to the next day.
Oh, the bar is low.
I guess we're gonna be flying like a bit in the canopy then, if it's safer.
As a spider, I think the cutoff was about 20 feet.
All right.
So
and there is stuff hanging from the trees
Yeah.
as well. Think of Christmas, think of snow, think of sleigh bells, here we go, like reindeer in the sky. You can fly, you can fly, you can fly, you can fly. Sorry, I like that movie. I like
There's
Peter.
coincidentally there's a reindeer dangling from one.
Half a reindeer's dangling. So math for you guys. Fly speed. Fly gives you a fly speed equal to your walk speed normally, correct?
I think.
Or does it just give you a flat amount?
It
You-
gives you a
target
5-6.
Yep, 60 feet for the duration.
Okay, so 120 feet means 1,200 feet per minute for 10 minutes is what? 12,000?
12,000 feet.
So we're talking about little under 2 miles that you can go in 10 minutes if you can dash effectively. What I'm going to have you all do is make me acrobatics checks to see if you can avoid the hanging fungus.
Before we do that, if we're going to be kicking this off, I just want to check something real quick. It lasts for a minute. Never mind. I was thinking we could bless, but that only lasts for. I know that would be much longer extended than that. Sorry. So what do we roll?
Acrobatics.
Acrobatics.
Acrobatics. Yay!
Yay.
So let's start with Argenta. Argenta has a good acrobatics score.
16.
16. Okay. Vala.
11.
All right. Liliane.
8.
Okay. Rowan.
10.
All right. So
I'm a cleric, y'all.
as you all are flying, you're kind of letting Argenta take the lead for a number of reasons. One, Argenta's very comfortable here. Two, Argenta's already had the conversation with the kiwi fungus. And it just kind of makes sense. So Argenta, as you're going, you're kind of calling out, oh, watch out for this, oh, watch out for that. And the further you go, the less response you're getting until you suddenly look back and you can see your entire party is about 500 feet behind you, all tangled in various parts of this fungus. But you do
Ooh, this
make
one's
it.
tasty. Got seasoning with them.
You guys do make it about, I don't know, half a mile before you all start getting kind of caught. So currently, Argento, you were the only person that is uncaught.
All right.
What I have a question on this. If we are, because we've established that these are spores.
Mm-hmm.
Sure as hell not gonna risk lighting a fire. I'm gonna make if he's not certain, he's not gonna do it. What does Rowan think would happen if he used Word of Radiance?
To be perfectly honest, you have not seen what. Well, make me an insight check.
Okay, sure. It'll be 16.
16. All right. As far as you can tell, the canopy here is thick enough that sunlight does not reach this part of the forest. So you have no idea what sunlight would do to this particular creature, which is the closest thing to quote-unquote radiant damage that appears naturally. With a 16, you don't know a whole lot more other than you can be relatively certain that this creature has not seen sunlight in a very long time.
Okay. Rowan will call out, like, if we get desperate, I may have to resort to a very bright flash and see what happens. If we get desperate,
I can change damage into radiant damage.
that's lovely. I don't know what'll happen.
I'm just saying.
I mean, I can do anything about the world, too.
I can turn my Eldritch Blast into radiant. I can turn Toll the Dead into radiant.
Time is ticking. 5 minutes have passed for the overall 10 minutes of the spell.
I'm essentially going to try and rip Vala free.
Okay? Make me a strength athletics check.
When in doubt, default to strength. 32.
32. So as you start trying to pull Vala out, the webs themselves almost seem like they're starting to fuse with Vala's clothing. They are so tightly ingrained. And as you try to rip it, if you've ever tried to rip like really, really strong cloth that has no cuts or breaks in it, and just that weird thing where it just keeps bunching up over and over, but it doesn't rip until there's some kind of break in it. It's kind of what's happening here. Like trying to rip canvas, it's not working until you just kind of squeeze long enough, and just out of pure happenstance, your fingernail pierces part of the webbing, and that's enough to create a tear in it. And you're able to rip Vala away. Vala is still covered in these webs, and it's actually interfering. Like one of your arms is stuck to your body now. The other one, like 3 of your fingers are fused together with the webbing and stuff. So you're not in a great place, but you're no longer connected to this thing. And everywhere that the web is touching has like a mild itching sensation. It's not enough that it's painful or even like annoying. It's just noticeable.
Yeah.
So that in and of itself takes a minute. So 4 minutes remaining. 2 more people caught up.
What are you gonna do?
I was gonna say I'm gonna like try to get my knife and try to free myself a little bit more.
Okay, make me a strength saving throw.
Delightful.
It's hard to fight against this thing.
11.
11. as you try to get a dagger, you cannot get your hand in a place where you can grab your dagger.
Here's a question, Jody. Can I like get in a straight line Rowan and Lillian?
Yes, but it will involve, there's some webs hanging between them. So if you go from Rowan to Lillian, you're going to get hit by some webs as well.
Well, I wouldn't be the one being hit by webs. And
Fair
I
point.
I apologize if this causes damage to either of you. So my fly speed is 60.
Mm-hmm.
I cast Long Strider on myself.
Okay.
I cast Haste on myself.
Isn't Longstrider
Long Strider's not
concentration?
concentration, no.
Never mind. Cool.
And with 140 feet of fly speed, I am going to try and freight train them both.
All right. Does Longstrider only give you an extra 20 feet?
An extra 10.
10. Okay.
Can I see Lillian doing this and just start like humming the most badass song I can to inspire her?
Sure. I am going to question, where are you putting Vala while you're doing this? You're going to try and keep them? Because eventually...
Can't Vala fly still?
Yeah.
Oh, Vala can fly. So yeah,
Yeah.
Vala wants to fly covered in webs. All right.
I'm moving ahead and humming
Sure. No, that's fine.
the
So-
theme song to Fast and the Furious.
Does Fast and the Furious have a theme song?
I think so.
Pretty sure it's just...
I just start humming something about family.
You feel possessed by the spirit of Kenny Loggins. Yeah, so I'm assuming you're giving Bardic Inspiration, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so you have Bardic Inspiration. This is going to be really difficult, so it is going to be an strength athletics check with disadvantage. And the
Okay.
DC is going to be pretty high.
Okay. What's your Bardic Inspiration at this point?
A D10, I believe.
Don't know if I can guidance this.
He's far enough away, guidance requires touch.
Okay.
You can guidance him after he gets you.
Let's see. 1, 2. And then you said a D10, right?
Yes.
Where is my D10? There it is. Well, okay, so the less I rolled a 7 and no 7, sorry, a 15 and an 8. So 8 plus 15 is 23, plus the 8 on the D10 is a 31.
Okay. So you hear the do 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 highway to and shoom. You just, as soon as you hear those tom hits, you just hit the afterburners, start going. Lillian, you're up first. As you're sitting there, you're trying to get to your sword. You're like, I can do this. I can get this. You suddenly see this flash of color and Argenta come rushing at you. And suddenly I need a Constitution saving throw from you. He's going to be hitting you like a freight truck. 19. You lose your breath for a second as this just wave of muscle and determination hits you and hits you hard. The tensile strength of the webbing is not enough. Or actually, the webbing itself doesn't break. The branch that it's on snaps. Comes around, slaps you in the face, so now you have a branch just covering half your face. You're not stopping. You see other bits of web get it, and each time a new branch slaps itself to your arm or something, you're still going. You see, you're in your brain, you're trying to figure out why Relwyn is getting bigger and bigger, and then it hits you, quite literally. And Relwyn, I need a Constitution saving throw from you.
Let's see if me taking resilient and constitution actually help me. Holy crap! 25.
25. You
What
don't even
happens
lose-
is Relman goes limp. He knows he ain't strong.
He's just like,
he knows he
"Mm,
ain't strong.
okay."
He goes, and he just exhales. He lets the air go out.
So as you get hit by this freight train, Lillian, you can see Relwyn coming towards you, and suddenly Relwyn feels almost like an empty jacket as he just envelops you. And now Relwyn is completely wrapped around Lillian and stuck to Lillian. So you have this little ball of sticks and Relwyn with Lillian in the middle. But you've gotten all of them. This has taken another minute. So you guys have 3 minutes left of flight. One of you is nonsense fast for, I think haste lasts for a minute, right?
Yeah, for a minute.
Okay, so that's going to cause issues.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
After he
It's
gets
gonna
you
suck the
back
nerves off.
to, after he gets you back to Vala, you watch as Argenta just starts to drop. So if anyone wants to try and catch him, just makes me deck saves. You can all try if you want, but he's just going to drop to the ground as he is stunned.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were caught like in the backlash. We were like,
Oh no,
just like being dragged.
because again, you guys can fly. You're stuck together, but you can still fly.
Okay.
So when he finally gets you guys away, you can fly and float there, but he just starts to drop to the ground.
Oh, fire, please.
Okay,
I got a 15.
15, cool.
Me too.
So between the three of you, because
Seven.
Relwyn can't actually not act when Lillian is trying to act because he's currently a part of Lillian. Between the three of you guys are able to catch him, and it only takes about 6 seconds for him to kind of wake up. The lichen itself on all of you, because Argenta, you've got a little bit on you as well. It's not nearly as thick as what's on Lillian, and it's not preventing your movement or anything, but anywhere that the webs are is starting to itch very mildly. And you guys can see some light very far away. You're not sure if 3 minutes is enough to get to it, but if everyone wants to roll me, I guess we'll go, you can choose strength athletics or dexterity acrobatics.
All right.
I'm going to try acrobatics, and I'm going to use my DM inspiration.
Okay.
So I get to roll with advantage, correct?
Yubbers.
I'm gonna
I'll
guidance
use
myself.
I'll use my inspiration too.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Theoretically, Rowan, if you guidance yourself, you will also be guidancing Liliang because you are one and the same
All
right
right.
now.
Oh, never mind. But no. No.
Luckily, only you or Liliane has to succeed, not both.
Great, because it ain't gonna be me.
Well,
D4.
What'd you get, Liliane?
15.
Okay, Argenta.
Is that with a D4?
Oh,
Yeah, you have guidance as well, simply being due to being knowing Rowan almost biblically at this point.
Regretting not inspiring them with the Katamari Damacy theme song.
oh, 17.
Okay. Argenta, some very
Uh,
high number involving strength.
28 athletics.
Gotcha. Vala.
23 acrobatics.
Okay. So between Vala and Argenta, you guys are going as fast as you can. You're starting to see the webs themselves getting thinner and thinner, but the ground itself is still covered in this of stuff. You guys watch as the Reliane blob is starting to fall behind and is starting to get lower and lower as the fly spell is losing its thing, losing its function. And so between Vala and Argenta. Argenta, who has use of both of their limbs, and Vala, who has use of most of one of their limbs. You guys are able to kind of drag them, and eventually, as the spell fails, you can see the webbing on the ground below you. And as you're going, you suddenly hit the ground and feel dirt as you kind of bounce and roll to the other side of this the thing. And you can see about 300 or 400 feet ahead. You can see sunlight coming through the canopy, but it's very kind of reddish orange as the day is nearly over.
I will haul the Lily Wren being over my shoulder and start running to it.
You
Okay.
Lily win, but the way Rowan flubbed that fucking roll, I ain't gonna that.
So you all are eventually able to get to the edge of the webwood. You can see probably about 200-300 feet away from the edge of the webwood. You can see where caravans normally stop. There's a large kind of clear area with a lot of different fire pits designed for large groups to be able to wait there. And you notice that there's nobody there. But you are away. And by the time Argenta is able to drag Lily Wynn over to there, and Vala is able to get there, it is well past twilight. It's relatively to the dark.
Create bonfire, create bonfire, create bonfire, create. All of the bonfire pits are lit.
Okay. You guys now have enough bonfires to supply a small army.
Do the wet, like, is the spores, are they dissipating at this point, or?
No, they're still just stuck to you.
Rowan is going to use his dagger. He's going to see if he can't like scrape it off, scrape attack, and see because if he tries it with a cantrip or with a weapon, he does radiant damage as well.
Okay.
If need be, he'll just do radiant. He'll just do a word of radiance, and he'll just see if that works.
So, as you attempt to attack and you see just this tiny kind of pinprick of light, you notice when the light hits the lichen, it solidifies. Because it's a very small amount, because it's just a little flash from your dagger, you feel just kind of an intense squeezing pressure, because it seems that when the lichen solidifies, like most things when they become a solid, it shrinks.
Okay.
But as it's basically squeezing your arm really hard, it's painful, you're able to kind of break it because of its brittleness. So you get the idea that if the webs themselves were to all solidify at once, it would probably end up breaking bones with just how quickly it does. But if you can do it in a small, controlled manner, they're very brittle once the shrinking process is over and you can break it. So with time and effort, it takes you the better part of 2 hours to get you and Liliane and Vala out of this stuff.
Rowan will take the time because he has a very bad feeling what happens if he doesn't take care of spores that reside on them.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to transfer shit from the woods.
Which you do notice at the end. And Argenta, I would assume, just due to your ranger knowledge, it seems that the reaction with sunlight effectively renders the spores inert.
Okay.
So you don't think even just leaving them here is going to lead them to like spread. They seem to be.
They need darkness.
Yeah.
Okay.
True, but it's getting dark, and that's the reason. That was the reason for Relman's concern.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you all are able to get all this stuff off. Do you want to try to burn it away now that it's in tiny little pieces? Do you want to crush it into tiny bits of powder? You want to just leave it there? What do you guys want to do with
what Argenta will do? She'll go over to like she'll gather the clumps of it.
Mm-hmm.
She'll take a very small piece and throw sparks on it just to see if it's still ignitable.
Oh yeah. The solid version of it is explosive, akin to black powder.
Can I keep it?
If it like, I mean, Rowan actually will go like, yeah, if it's no longer alive, it's a hardened crust. Rowan's very pragmatic. It has a purpose.
She's going to be seeing about making bullets out of.
Web bullets. I love it.
No.
This is more like a phosphorus round at this point, right?
Well, it's very similar to black powder. It's just highly combustible, and creates a lot of energy per surface area. So, if the one issue is going to be, without being a gunslinger, this skill to actually create bullets is a little bit beyond you. So any bullets that you attempt to create, I'm going to have you keep track of, because they're not going to work exactly the same way that normal bullets would.
Oh, I know. This is a first time attempt.
So, yeah. So yeah, I'm assuming you guys are gonna take a long rest out here then before heading to Clawsgate. Clawsgate is still another, like, day and a half, 2 days, depending on how fast you want to go on the river road. Most caravans take a 12-hour travel day, so which is technically a day and a half's worth of travel to get to the edge of the webwood for Klausgate before going in. So they push themselves extra hard to make sure that they camp right outside of Webwood.
All right.
So you all are able to have a long rest. Recover anything that you want. Argenta, the only thing you're going to need is you have to figure out how you're going to keep. What are you going to keep the crystallized web in? That's what we'll call it. Crystallized web.
She'll, assuming that overnight it doesn't like return back to life.
Not that you've seen.
All right. She'll kind of wrap it in, well, she'll place it in like an empty potion bottle she's carrying.
Okay.
Put that in like a small sack and then put it in the bag of holding.
Okay. So, yeah, you guys get a long rest. All of the benefits of said little long rest. As you wake up, you guys are still picking little bits of webbing off of you. But this looks more mundane spider webbing than it does the crystallized fungus web. But unfortunately, that is going to end it for today. As always, if you missed any of this, I do put all these up on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/TrainerJody. Otherwise, again, it's all for me today. I will see you guys in the next time. All right? Bye-bye.